Hi, everyone. My name is Jess Ransom, and I'm the health educator with the OIF. I would like to welcome you all to Edible Invitation, Clean Cooking, Clean Eating, a Cooking and Dialogue. Today, Stephanie Sachs and Susie Wilson are going to show us a delicious recipe for a sheet pan eggplant Parmesan. While we wait for everyone to get their cooking spaces ready, I just want to do a quick check-in to see where everyone is joining us from. You can put it in the chat, and that way we can just get a feel for who's here. This event is a bit different than our Q&A style event, so it takes a little while for everyone to get their cooking spaces ready. So we just want to just see where everyone is joining us from. Also, we also want to know if you joined us for part one with our conversation, just to see who we have here. And I will let you know that we'll have a photo opportunity at the end with your amazing meals. There's no better time to say cheese than with an eggplant parm. Am I right? Get it? Cheese. All right. I would like to introduce Stephanie Sachs and Susie Wilson. Stephanie Sachs is a nationally recognized culinary nutritionist and leading authority on eating to prevent and manage illness. She is also the author of What the Fork Are You Eating? An encyclopedic guide to help readers make healthier choices. As a chef, nutritionist, and innate healer, she uses food as a conduit to deep transformation for those that she works with. I am so excited for this cooking demonstration today. Last week, we had an amazing discussion centered around nutrition, and what better way to follow up than with a cooking demonstration. Susie Wilson is 53 years young, lives with type 3, type 4OI. She has lived in Fort Myers, Florida for 18 years. After moving from Larchmont, New York in 2003, Susie graduated from Manhattanville College, Purchase, New York with a BA in management and a minor in graphic design. She's worked in the medical and billing field for over 25 years as a reimbursement insurance collector. Susie has been involved with the OI Foundation since 1992. She is a past board member, co-chair of the Tampa OI Support Group, and chair of the Bone China Tea fundraiser. Susie is also active at St. Michael's All Angels Episcopal Church in Sanibel, Florida, and at J. N. Ding Darling National Wildlife Refuge. That was a mouthful. These people are pretty accomplished here, am I right? While some of us may still be logging on or getting your cooking areas together, I would like to just go over our prep list. We just want to be sure that you preheat your oven to 350. If you want to get started prepping now, you can have your parchment lined baking sheet handy. Remember to not use wax paper in the oven. You can have your knives and cutting board handy, have all ingredients handy. And then we're also going to go over our shopping list. So you want to have 2 small medium purple eggplants, 1 container of breadcrumbs or a gluten-free alternative, 1 jar of jarred oregano, 1 jar of chili flakes, 1 container of Parmesan or a dairy-free alternative, 1 bag of shredded mozzarella cheese or dairy-free alternative, and 1 bottle of extra virgin olive oil, and 1 jar of your favorite tomato sauce. See the cheese pun, you get it with the Parmesan and the mozzarella? All right. If you have any questions regarding the recipes or cooking techniques, please feel free to input them in the chat and we'll read them out loud for Stephanie. Remember, this is an opportunity to ask questions regarding cooking techniques. There isn't a limit on the amount of questions you can ask. I'll be happy to read them out loud because we can all benefit. If you have any questions specific to nutrition for Stephanie, please feel free to email us at bonelink@oif.org, and we will be sure that Stephanie gets those questions. All right. I had to stop sharing my screen. I want to see all you guys' beautiful faces. While we're still just allowing a little bit of time for everyone to log on and get their cooking area situated. Stephanie, I have a question for you about this recipe. Why eggplant parm?
Well, Susie and I had a conversation a few weeks ago, and it gave me an opportunity to really understand some of the challenges she's up against and how she solves for those challenges. And she told me that she does a lot of sheet pan cooking. And so we were looking at it sort of as how can we do a sheet pan recipe, something that's easy to cut so I can show cooking techniques. And we came up with this recipe, and Susie wanted to learn how to cook it. And so that's what we decided to do.
Awesome. So Susie, I have a question for you. Do you have any insight for someone who may be intimidated by cooking?
I was really intimidated when I first started about 5 years ago. But luckily I was able to modify my kitchen, which I was very, very lucky to do. And I can show you some of the modifications today that have helped me with getting around my kitchen and cooking.
Awesome. We would love that. So let's look in the chat and see where we have people joining us from. We have some people from Fort Myers, Detroit, and Fort Myers again. So Susie, let's show the people of Fort Myers and Detroit your amazing kitchen.
So many people, I'm sure, are probably like, well, how's somebody in a wheelchair reach the upper cabinets? Which I've never been able to do unless I stand on a chair, which is really not recommended. So my contractor had told me about Rebbe shelf, or actually the cabinet comes down to my level.
That's amazing.
And then I just lightly tap it and it just goes right back up.
Wow.
Wow.
That's one thing that I've done. I have the pull-out shelves for pots and pans. And I also have the same pull-out on the other side, which I have on my plates and glasses. We have less space under my cooktop. This is an induction cooktop. The reason I went with an induction cooktop is I cannot burn myself when you touch the burner. And I thought when I was learning how to cook, that probably would be a really good plus.
Definitely.
So it's all magnetic, and you have to buy certain pots and pans that have magnification underneath it. But like anybody can touch this and it will not burn yourself. It's really cool.
Do you find that those pans, Susie, those pots and pans with magnetic, are they a little heavier than the average pot or pan?
No, I get all clad.
Okay, great. That's great.
The other thing that I've done is in my old kitchen, the garbage disposal button was all the way in the back wall and I couldn't reach it. So my contractor was able to move it to place it under here. So I can also turn the counter lights by the switch here because I can't reach back there. And we move the faucet to the side here as opposed to all the way in the back because I couldn't reach that as well. Wow. And then the last feature that a lot of people like, and you'll see it being used tonight, I do have a Bosch oven, which everybody says, and I agree, it's the most expensive appliance I own. But the reason I went with Bosch is, as you can see, the door opens this way as opposed to opening down, where I have a chance of falling in the oven as I'm taking things out. So this way, I can just open the door, pull the tray out, and put whatever in there I'm putting in, because I can get really close with my wheelchair.
Wow.
Awesome. Susie, I think you're ready for your own cooking show. I mean, really. Someone in the chat says, that's awesome. Great modifications. Well, Susie, thanks so much for taking us on a tour. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure everyone on the call appreciates it as well. All right, Stephanie and Susie, this stage is yours. I will be popping in with questions, but you guys feel free to take it away.
Susie, I thank you for that, because that is just, having spent so many years in kitchens, it's just phenomenal to see that and to see the adaptations that you were able to make with your contractor based on what you knew you needed. So kudos to you. Really. Okay, hi, everybody. I do want to say before I get into cooking that I'm very connected to the OI community because my teenage niece lives with OI type 1. And she has had an enormous impact on not only my life, but my kids' lives and all of our lives. And she's one of my rock stars. So I do this in honor of her and for everybody who is part of the OI community. So hopefully you can benefit from my passion and expertise. So thank you for having me. Welcome to my kitchen. I will just tell you, my one handicap is that I do have a yellow lab who likes to be my sous chef. And she does sometimes bark. So in the event that she carries on, I do have to leave camera to go and put her in my bedroom. So just warning everybody. Okay, so let's just go through the ingredients. This is an eggplant Parmesan. You can also do it, I adapted it from a recipe in my book that's called Naked Eggplant Parmesan, and we're doing it for a sheet pan. We have a gluten-free home, so I do it gluten-free, but I am using obviously eggplant, and I got, 3 small to medium eggplant just in case. I'm using Rayo's tomato sauce. This is our most favorite sauce, and you can get it for like $5 a jar at Costco. So I stock up. And then there's no need for me to make tomato sauce because I could never beat this. I'm using gluten-free breadcrumbs. I have grated Parmesan here. But I just wanted to show you guys also, I recently came across this from Trader Joe's, and this is a dairy-free alternative for people who have dairy allergies or lactose intolerance. And this is actually a wonderful Parmesan alternative. I've tasted a lot of them, but I really like this one. And then I have, some mozzarella as well. And I have oregano and crushed red pepper that I put into a bowl and I just mix together. Okay. So Susie, you ready to rock and roll?
Yep.
Okay. So what you're going to do first, why we chose eggplant is because it's soft, and so much of what we have to think about is safety around cutting. Okay. So take the eggplant and just cut the end off like so, and we can discard that. Good. Just the top, and then you can just, however you feel comfortable, I'm going to just slice it down the center like so. And Susie, that's a great way to do it also. So what Susie is doing, I'm going to show everybody what Susie's doing here. Is she nicked the bottom off here, and she has it upright, which is smart. You can get leverage. Sometimes eggplant topples over, so you want to just be careful, and you can run it down that way. Okay. All right, you ready? So now you're just gonna very slowly and patiently and lovingly, you're gonna cut slices. Half moons. And the point of doing the half moon cut versus the round is just that you get leverage. So you have the flat surface. How's it going, Susie? You cutting? Is the cutting okay?
Yes, it's good.
So another thing I want to point out for safety in a kitchen, my cutting board here, you can see it has a lip. So it doesn't move. It's actually, my kitchen is IKEA, and this is an IKEA cutting board. But if you do not have a situation where you can use a lipped cutting board, you can take a board like Susie's or a wooden board or a plastic board. And what I normally do, just so I can show you guys, is I will take a wet paper towel and you kind of bunch it up like so. And you put your board on top of that and your board won't move. And that's for safety. A lot of times we just smack the boards right on top of the counter and it can be a safety hazard because it will move. Okay, how you doing, Susie?
I'm fine.
Okay, good. And then part of what you want to try to do, and I know that this can be hard, is a clean board is a safe board. So as soon as you're done with one row, if you can manage to have your sheet pan here, you can just start to layer this and clear your board. Okay. So I'm just going to keep doing this. And the goal here is going to be to just keep repeating. Well, that would be my phone. How you doing, Susie? I'm checking in with you.
Good.
Okay, perfect. So one thing I recommend that I don't do during class, because you wouldn't otherwise hear me or I wouldn't hear you, is turn music on when you cook. You know, when I would teach in person pre-COVID, we would do some dance jams while we were cooking, and it was a lot of fun. And would shake, you can shake it out, you can move around, and it's really part of the process. It's an enjoyable process, cooking, and it builds community. So I urge you to turn music on and create a really positive environment that's comfortable for you.
Stephanie, I do have a quick question. So our eggplant, is that something that you can find like frozen and pre-cut already if someone didn't want to go through the steps of actually having to slice them, or is that not a thing?
No, eggplant you don't typically find frozen that I know of. I have not seen it, to be honest with you. So yeah, I would say probably not. You may, you could replicate this recipe if you want with something like, zucchini, for example. And I do believe you can find, pre-prepped sliced zucchini oftentimes. The thing with pre-prepping eggplant is that it will brown too. So you want to be cautious of that.
Gotcha. And this question isn't cooking related, but I think it's pretty fun. Susie and Stephanie, what are your favorite songs to cook to? I know you mentioned music element. Feel free to let me know in the chat if you all have any songs that are your favorites to cook to.
Susie, what about you?
Elton John.
Ooh. Good. I love Van Morrison. So I do a lot of cooking to Van Morrison. And then if I'm in a really kind of needing Zen mode, I play Krishna Das, who does Tibetan chanting. And I love that. I love country music too. And then if I'm cooking with my boys, God knows what they're playing.
Definitely. Cooking is like my escape. So I like to listen to jazz while I cook and just in my own world.
Yeah, jazz too. I like instrumental, like classical. or jazz. Sometimes I listen to piano. Okay, how you doing, Susie?
I'm good. I only cut up one eggplant because the one took up 2 cookie sheets. And
Okay.
if I cut up the second one, I'm gonna have more eggplant than I can eat by myself.
Okay, so then what I'm gonna do, if you already have your cookie sheets, what I'm gonna do is I am going to take a little olive oil here and I'm gonna just drizzle it on. Now you have a measurement in the recipe, but I'm just doing some drizzling.
So I don't have to measure it out?
Not really. You know, measurements are for people who have a harder time feeling food, but you love to cook, and I think you kind of get it. So this is what it looks like when it's got the drizzle on it. And then I'm just going to sprinkle some of my spices. My herbs and spices, I should say. Okay, so this is what this initial sheet pan will look like. Does that look about the same as yours, Susie?
Yes. I'm getting a thumbs up.
Perfect. So I'm going to wait for you. And what I'm going to do is fill my second sheet pan. You know, I made last night, and I thought about you, Susie, I made a sheet pan tofu.
Oh,
Yeah, it was interesting. It was kind of crispy and quite good.
Stephanie, what was the spice blend that you put on the eggplant earlier?
It's oregano and crushed red pepper.
Nice. And I know you mentioned like zucchini as being a substitute.
Yep.
What other options are there to substitute for the eggplant?
You could do yellow squash or zucchini. That will behave in a similar way. And again, easy to cut, and you may be able to find pre-cut. You know, that's probably where I would stop my suggestions.
Gotcha.
should I put it in the oven now?
Yep, absolutely. You can put it in, and I'm going to put mine in.
Stephanie, about how many people does this recipe serve?
You know, it'll probably comfortably serve 4 to 6. But if you're eating with my family, it'll serve, like my extended family, it would serve 2. And you can always throw in a pasta and boil a pasta alongside this recipe. So we're gonna let that cook. Susie's is going about, you know, I don't know, roughly, you know, 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the oven. My oven's a bit of a nightmare, unfortunately. So I had to keep a close eye. Any questions, guys?
If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or it's a nice amount of us on the call. Feel free to unmute yourself if you wanted to ask your question.
Unmute if you want. Susie, was that easy for you?
Yes.
And cutting the eggplant felt fine.
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome. Oh, hi, Tracy Hart.
So Stephanie, what do you think of pre-cutting the eggplant and salting for a while to remove the moisture?
You can do that if you want, but you don't really need to in this recipe. I will let you know that. You know, another way this recipe works really well too, is if you can command a grill. Susie, we didn't even talk about that, but like, you know, one of the things that I do in the warmer months is I'll just cut the eggplant and throw it in a bowl. And I'll toss some olive oil in it and I'll go out to my grill and just with tongs, I just literally, you know, I'm just flipping eggplant and then moving it over into a baking dish. And you know, you can move it over into a sheet pan, depending on the grill setup. And if you're comfortable using a grill.
Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Susie. This is like,
Hi, Tracy.
this is so awesome. This is great. I wish I could cook, but I'm taking very good notes. Susie, I had a question for you. How easy was it shopping for everything based on the recipe? Could you find everything you needed?
That was really easy.
Okay.
A lot easier than doing like an acorn squash or a harder
Yeah.
squash type thing.
Got it.
I have a question, Stephanie. How does this freeze?
It freezes phenomenally well. So the way that I would freeze it, like I seem to be regularly buying myself these. So, you know, I walk into Costco and they're like $20 for 40 of them or something. And so, because oftentimes what I do is when I test recipes or I make extra, I give it to people in my community that I care about. And I just never see my dishes returned. So I have a whole library of these. And you literally can layer it. So like after tonight, if it's not all eaten, I'll layer it in here and I'll cover it with, you know, with one of the fitting covers, which is, you know, they snap down. They're BPA free plastic. They snap down. You can put it in the refrigerator. You can freeze it. And when you're ready to reheat it, you can stick this in the oven. Cover it with foil and stick it in the oven. And so what you can technically do, like Susie, for you, if you have tons of leftovers and you have some of these, you can freeze them in portion size containers.
Okay.
You know, so then you're just pulling it out for a night and then, you know, you have more for later. But it will last for, you know, a good 3 days in the fridge. And actually, I kind of like it. I like it when it's left over and reheated. It's just, it's one of my most favorite dishes, actually.
Stephanie, you mentioned that you could cook pasta while you're waiting for this to cook. What kind of pasta? What would you suggest?
So I just did this actually, just because my son's going to come home from school, and this is, you know, just a gluten-free penne.
Okay.
So I did that. He won't eat the eggplant. So.
I see.
Yeah. So it's yeah. And you can also do this, you know, another thing you can do too, is for people who like this Parmesan idea, you can go to a store and you can actually either ideally buy grilled chicken versus breaded chicken cutlets, just because they're, you know, healthier. Buy grilled chicken cutlets and put them on a pan with some sauce and a little cheese if you want, or dairy-free alternative, and bake it in the oven and you've got a chicken Parmesan. that's super low maintenance, easy to do. And it's harder to, you know, to maneuver pots and pans to cook the chicken, although you could do a great sheet pan chicken.
Could something like this also be done with like I'm thinking of like a rotisserie chicken, like, you know, how many of the grocery stores have, and like slice it and top it with everything?
Yeah, I mean, the rotisserie chickens though are just laborious to get all of the, you know, all of the meat off of them. So it's sometimes easier to just buy the breasts. And oftentimes there are deli counters that have them, or you may have like a local, you know, market that has some prepared foods, and you can construct your own meal with pieces of theirs, if that makes sense.
And I know you mentioned possibly using like a grill earlier. Could this recipe be done in like a toaster oven or like a air fryer for someone who may not be comfortable with the oven?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, I have a Breville toaster oven right here, which is on its, you know, it's like on its like last probably days of life right now, but you could technically build it in a pan like this and do the same thing. It would be a much smaller portion, but you can do it. But what I like to urge people to do, whether it's one person, two, three, whatever it may be, is there's a benefit to quantity cooking when something can be frozen. Because then you're in control of what you're eating, you're in control of the sodium, of the sugar, of all of the ingredients, and you can just freeze it.
That's a great point.
You know, even if you were going to make like a pesto, get an ice tray and freeze the pesto in the ice cube tray. And put it in a, you know, a Ziploc and put it in the freezer. And then you have these small cubes of pesto that you can use one or two of them, you know, for a marinade or to put on pasta or put in rice. So I like to think about, you know, strategies.
Susie, I've had the pleasure of being in your kitchen. It's wonderful. But I can't remember, is there something different about your refrigerator too, or no? Is it?
No.
Okay.
I just moved it so I could open it all the way, because the wall was up against it.
Got it.
Okay,
I
I'm
couldn't
pouring this out right now.
We did it
What was that, Suze?
we did a tour earlier. You missed it.
No, I saw it, but you didn't go to the refrigerator.
Oh, okay.
I was here for the whole thing.
Okay. I don't know who's up. I can't see.
This is the
that
first layer, guys. And so my oven runs pretty hot, so I'm pulling mine out. Susie, yours is probably much more agreeable than mine. So you may need a little longer. And so the eggplant, remember, it's going to go back in the oven once it has all the goodies on it. So it's pretty soft right now. So you can see, you don't see too much water on the tray. You don't actually see any water on the tray. And it's actually nice and dry, but moist internally. How's it looking for you, Susie?
I have 7 minutes left. 6, 5, 4, 2.
Should it be browned at all? Or should it?
No, it doesn't. It can be browned slightly. I have to be careful with my oven, to be honest with you, because it goes from this, which is like perfectly cooked, to burnt, nanosecond. So, and we're going to put it back in. So it is kind of browned a bit. Can you see? It is a bit browned. Most importantly, and look, you can see this side of it, it's browned. Okay.
Right?
Yep, that looks great.
It's okay?
Yeah. It looks pretty cooked.
Okay.
Good.
I didn't.
So, there was something I was going to tell you guys about this, and now I can't remember. All right, so, Susie, you ready to start layering?
Yes.
Okay. So, so the first thing I'm going to do here, my breadcrumbs. Let me just move this over onto here, guys.
To do breadcrumbs.
Yeah, I'm going to put the breadcrumbs on first. I'm going to use, probably use my hands just because I have a little more control that way. And I'm going to sprinkle the breadcrumbs. I'm just basically coating my eggplant. And then I'm going to do the same with my sauce, is kind of spread it around. You can also do this in, sometimes there are fairly light, smaller, like tin, not tin, but they make them stainless, almost like baking dishes, but they're very light, not glass, and you can pile it in there. It'll be a deeper dish. So as you can see, smells so good. The hardest thing about online teaching is that I do not, with my students, I don't get to celebrate the smells and really work closely with my students on techniques. And I miss that. I really miss that. And then we don't get to eat together in the same way. So, okay, how you doing, Susie?
Good, I'm gonna put the sauce on now.
Okay, super. So my sauce, actually, I have to do a little bit more sauce.
So Stephanie, for people who may want to take the recipe a step further, are there anything else that people might want to add that might be like untraditional eggplant parm?
I mean, you can stack this with zucchini, and you can mix eggplant and zucchini. You can put onions on top of it. Really, it's really it's like a canvas, right? So you slice white onion or red onion, and you can put that on top here before we were going to put the next layer. You can, do other vegetables. So what would go well with this is a zucchini or a yellow squash. What else can you do? You can use different spices. So you may want to put basil, or you may want to paint some pesto on here. So you can get creative. Like Trader Joe's does this wonderful, like a vegan kale pesto that happens to be super delicious. And I'm not one to buy prepared foods like that, but I've been trying a few things here and there, and I'm really impressed with it. So that's a nice one to use. You can put olives on this. Olives would be delicious. So if I was eating this myself, I would put olives on it. Or even capers. But if I did that, I would get I'd get a glare. Like, what were you thinking? I do not eat olives. So
I definitely imagine like onions, like caramelized onions or something on it. And another question, is there such thing as too much sauce? How much sauce should you put on each piece of eggplant?
Yeah, so I don't think there's ever anything is too much sauce, especially Rayo's. But you can think of like almost putting a heaping teaspoon on top of each piece when it's cut like this. And the eggplant, again, is going to absorb the moisture from the sauce.
Something I always hear about eggplant. I love it, but I hear from other people about like a texture being a bit soggy. Is there any way that you can prevent that, or is it just?
Yeah, I think eggplant is one of the soggier vegetables. So you have to, unless you're doing, fried eggplant chips, which, but you can, bread it and fry it and it will get crispier. But again, you're adding so much excess calorie and in the end, it ends up getting mushy anyway. You're putting sauce and cheese on it. That's eggplant. So if you don't like the mush, then probably don't eat eggplant.
Agreed.
Right.
Well, your sheet pans are looking amazing. From someone who hasn't had dinner yet, you guys are making me hungry. Susie, you're doing a great job.
So now, Susie, are you doing them all individual like that?
Well, I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh, okay. So actually, I love this when this happens. You actually can. You can make a 1-layer eggplant parm. So we literally could just now put cheese on this and put it in.
Okay.
Or what we can do, I forgot the cheese. One moment, please. I'm actually going to just throw some parm on here and I'll do a little mozzarella on the top when I'm done.
So I would just do the same.
Yeah, I prefer Parmesan, to be honest with you.
I like mozzarella, but I will do Parm for tonight.
Yeah, you can do whatever. And then what you do is you can take a tongs and you just layer on top with the other pieces. It's actually quite beautiful.
Are you layering like directly stacking, or are you switching up the angle directions? Or
No, I'm just stacking. I'm not really paying much attention to which angle it is. I'm just kind of layering it, I have the sheet pan faced in a different way, so I'm doing the flat end towards you guys on this top layer rather. I'm so hungry. This is so much fun. So for those of you who some of you may know and most of you probably don't know, I actually teach a cooking class once a month called Come Cook, and the meals are themed, and and they're open to anybody. It's $25 a class, but if that's an issue, just you can let me know, and Jess, maybe you can facilitate that. But they're going to be themed. I have a holiday class coming next week, and then in January I start with there's detox, there's heart health, brain health, and if anybody from the OI community wants to take part, let me know ahead of time if I need to make any adaptations, and I'm more than happy to. I really am. So I want them to be open to anybody who wants to take them. So just know that they're there. Look at you go, Susie.
They're all on shapes. I didn't cut them evenly, but
That's okay. That's okay.
Looks great, Susie. I told you
You
you're
know-
ready for your cooking show.
In the end, I always say to people, the bottom line is how it tastes. So whether you cut the eggplant a little thicker, a little thinner, I've worked with so many chefs over the years who, whether they're teaching classes or they're running restaurants, and they're so particular and almost militant as to how you need to cut things and the order. And my goal is to get people back in the kitchen. So I've had to let go of a lot of my perspectives, ways that I was trained. That's awesome. Okay, so now layer on top again. So now I'm doing more breadcrumbs.
oh, no more sauce?
Yeah, I'll do the sauce after the breadcrumbs. So I'm just stacking it all. And then more sauce.
Stephanie, I know you mentioned like pairing this with like a pasta earlier. Would this also be good in like a wrap, like a pita inside of a wrap?
Oh yeah, it would be delicious on a pita. You could also do it with a lot of stores sell zoodles. Do you guys know what zoodles are?
Yes.
Zucchini noodles. So you could always do it with zoodles too if you don't want the the pasta. Also have it with a little rice.
Rice sounds amazing. And do we
Or
know the
quinoa too, guys?
quinoa, definitely.
Okay, I just used an entire jar of Rayo's on this, just so you know.
So the question, there's never too much sauce.
There's never too much sauce. And I guarantee you that when my husband comes home, he's gonna be like, do we have any more sauce?
And do we know the calorie count per serving for this?
Absolutely not. We can look online to see what, but again, most eggplant parmesans are going to be, the calorie count is going to be based on fried versus baked.
Mhm.
And probably having far more cheese, and there would be far more oil. So I don't, and I am not, unfortunately, fortunately, I'm not a calorie nutritionist. My goal is to connect people to nourishment in ways that do not include counting calories. So it's also portion size awareness that's really important. So now I'm going to just take a little mozzarella and top it. And I'm going to put it back in the oven. How you doing, Susie?
I'm all right.
Looking great. So you guys can see what this looks like. We've just built, thanks to Susie, a sheet pan eggplant Parmesan, which I have never done. And one thing that I would say to everybody is take your time and enjoy the process. Cooking is therapeutic. It's really therapeutic. It's not something we need to rush. Take your time. It's kind of an art project. It's like edible arts and crafts. Or as my niece used to call it, arts and crafts. Awesome, Susie.
If anyone else is cooking along and would like to show their sheet pan, let me know. I can spotlight your
Yeah.
video.
Yeah, I would like to see it, please.
That look bad.
No, that looks tasty.
I already put mine back in the oven, but but I did mine in like a Pyrex because I liked that idea of like
Oh, good.
container. So
All right, I just put mine in.
Oh,
So depending on, oh. Your cat and my dog.
You can't cook without your co-star.
Oh, boy, she's coming. Oh, no, she heard dog. You want to come say hi? Come on. Come here. Come
How
say hi.
long, Stephanie?
You're going to do it probably about 15 to 20. I'll show you guys my my sous chef. Come here. Come this little sous chef. Okay, go. Come on. This is my sous chef, everybody. Not sanitary, but she's pretty cute, so she's worth it.
Well, your sheet pans look amazing already, so I know like the outcome when they come out of the oven, it's going to be amazing. I'm going to need you to ship me a plate, please. No.
I wish I could feed you all.
I'll bring leftovers to the office for anyone who wants them.
Wait, does anybody else want to share their what they're doing? I would love to see. It's so much fun when I get to see. So Susie, honest feedback, how was that for you?
I gotta get better at cutting more evenly and better at stacking. But considering this is the first time, I think I did okay.
It looks great. It looks great. The thing about, the thing about the eggplant, okay, and this is why cutting it evenly is so important. Here she goes, excuse me.
While Stephanie steps away and helps out with her co-star, do you all have any suggestions or like your favorite dish to cook? You can put it in the chat or feel free to bring yourselves off mute. Oh, Susie, you're muted.
Wait, she's muted.
So I can share one of my favorites for this time of year. I love making anything with like sweet potatoes. So I like to do like sweet potato fries, like roasted in the oven. So simple. Toss them in some, cut them up, toss them in olive oil, and you're good to go. Sometimes I will like boil them quickly and then cut them, but I love like anything with like sweet potatoes this time of year.
Yeah, sweet potatoes are, I made a soup last week, a medley minestrone with sweet potatoes. It was really quite nice. I like to do, and this is an interesting sheet pan recipe, is cauliflower. So I like to just take cauliflower and cut it into steaks, or take cabbage and cut it into steaks. And for cutting, like Susie, one of the things we had spoken about is the vegetables that are too tough, but a great cabbage to use could be like a Savoy cabbage versus the purple cabbage or the green cabbage that we're accustomed to, because Savoy is much more tender. And you cut it into steaks. You just lay it on a sheet pan, sprinkle it with olive oil, salt, and pepper. You can chop some fresh herbs and put it on there as well. 10, 15 minutes, that's all it needs, and it is delicious. Excuse me.
What is that? What did you say? What's that?
Savoy.
Savoy cabbage, Savoy.
Never heard of it. Okay.
Yeah, so it's you typically find it. I mean, it's very, very often in any market that has any cabbage. And the way that you know what Savoy is that it's it's like a light green, and it's, instead of it being smooth, it's kind of ridged. So, and it's lighter than a regular cabbage. So it's much easier to cut. And it's good.
I really like roasting Brussels sprouts with like some olive oil and salt, and then a little bit of soy sauce at the very end. Love it. I'll do a whole sheet pan of those.
Yeah, I love Brussels sprouts too.
I'm not a Brussels sprout fan.
Yeah, I shred them actually and roast them, and then I mix them with a Dijon vinaigrette that I make, and it's really can serve them cold as a salad, and it's really delicious. Trying to think what else. Vegetable wise? Jess, is that the question? Vegetable wise?
Yes.
Mushrooms. I like roasting mushrooms.
Could you do starches? Could you do something like potatoes on or sweet potato?
Yeah. You can do potatoes, any kind of potato, and you can roast them on a pan, a sheet pan. Absolutely. And you can mix them with garlic and onions, or, use a garlic and onion spice combo or salt. So yeah, you can do that. Really any vegetable. Any vegetable. Susie, have you ever spiralized?
Yes.
Do you find that to be an easy thing for you to do, or no?
I have a KitchenAid with the attachment to spiralize.
Okay, so that's smart. And then do you use a Cuisinart or a food processor, or is that your KitchenAid?
I have a small mini Cuisinart. I have a big one, but I don't seem to know how to use it correctly enough. So that's why I have the
Right.
attachment for the spiralization on my KitchenAid mixer thing.
So it's interesting. I had a Cuisinart that broke last year, so I had to get a new one, and I ended up kind of by mistake buying the ones with all the bells and whistles, and I was kind of like, you gotta be kidding me, this is ridiculous. But I'm going to tell you, there's one attachment on there that is quite smart, and it's a dicer. And it literally dices potatoes, and all you're doing is feeding the potato in. And it's a pretty smart adaptation for the Cuisinart, I have to say.
Stephanie, what are like some tools that are good for like beginners, kitchen tools?
So I get asked that question all the time, actually. So outside of just my knife and my cutting board, this is my favorite, is a citrus press. I always say the first thing you should do is invest in a really good knife and some quality cutting boards. And that's the first thing you should do. This, and then, a peeler and wooden spoons. Actually, in my book, I have an entire equipment list of what I would recommend. But I love my citrus press. And I love my my microplane as well. Very useful because you can grate, ginger, you can grate lemon zest on it, you can do cheese, so it's super functional. Trying to think what else like I really use. I do, I would say if you're gonna really invest, Vitamix is the way to go for a blender. And they make short blenders, which are super functional. And then, if you can get a food processor or Cuisinart, that's what I would recommend. And of course, good pots and pans.
Definitely. So as far as like kitchen tools are concerned, is there something that you have purchased for one reason in cooking, but it ended up being super useful for like something else, like your citrus juicer? Have you found like anything that, like, I bought it for this, but it's actually been helpful to do something completely different?
Yeah, I mean, I think the microplane is really, it's probably one of the most highly functional tools because it's, I can use it for ginger, I can use it for citrus zest, I can use it for cheese. And so that's super helpful. So I would say that is, and I would say that I probably use my Vitamix more than I do my Cuisinart. Before the Vitamix, I would puree soups in a Cuisinart because it did a much better blend than a blender. But I won't touch a Cuisinart to puree soups now. I can puree soups in a Vitamix and it's like a cashmere soup. It's unbelievable.
Definitely. I did my first attempt at a homemade butternut squash soup recently, and I don't have a Vitamix, and yes, it was definitely a task.
Yeah, it is. Okay, I'm gonna flip it on to broil now. Oh, cool. Wait a second.
And how long should people broil the dish?
You end up broiling it for about probably about 3 minutes, not even. Susie, how's yours doing?
I have 8 minutes left.
Take a look at it and see what it looks like. Is yours convection?
No, I have it on oven.
Okay.
I could have switched it to convection,
No,
but
okay. All right, you still have more time, I think. It looks like you have more time.
8 minutes.
you want me to take it out for you to see it, or you can see it?
No, I can kind of see it. It looks, how's the cheese? Is it melting or?
It's slowly melting.
Okay, yeah, no, you can close it up. Yeah, you need more time.
Okay.
So you can do, this would be really nice on a ciabatta roll. Could just have this with salad, and it'll be nice just with a salad. Is that your oven blowing? That's,
Yeah.
your hair is like blowing in the wind.
Susie has a full blown production. I love it. The fans.
I know.
Did you say you put yours on broil?
I put mine on broil. So I literally, I have one of the worst ovens. I have one of the worst ovens. So, and I'm actually, I just had to order a whole new system. And my oven cooks it cooks unevenly, and it's like a rapid fire. So it's like, so I have to massage it when I use it. So I did, I put it on broil, and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. So this is it.
That looks amazing.
And that's what it looks like. And so I'm gonna just leave that now, just in my oven to stay warm. And cook a little bit more. But that will give you an idea. I turned the broil off, and my boys are walking in right now. So I turned the oven off, and it's just in there now. Still cooking a little bit.
Well, it looks amazing. I can only imagine the smell.
Oh my gosh, the smell. I could share the smell with all of you.
Mine looks delicious.
Does smell good.
Ooh. Let me see if I can
I have
spot
extra breadcrumbs, so I scattered them on the top.
Looks amazing.
I'm excited. I also, Stephanie, you mentioned eggplant chips. I went ahead and threw my extra pieces in the air fryer.
Oh, that's smart. I don't, I'm so curious about an air fryer. I know nothing about it. How'd that go?
Pretty good. I think I oversalted them, but
Okay. So that's like one of my endeavors. A friend of mine said, you really need to do an air fryer cooking class. I'm like, I don't have an air fryer. She said, well, go get one. And I'm like, oh, I don't really have the room for it.
I know, Stephanie, one of my friends get me one, and I'm like, where am I gonna store it? And where am I gonna keep it? And it's bigger than I am. And
I know, that's how I feel.
mine's pretty
Melissa,
little.
what is yours? Is yours a toaster and an air fryer?
No, it's just the air fryer, and it's called a Power X.
Oh, you're muted.
Let's see if I can show you.
Okay.
It's that,
Oh, okay.
it's just a little basket that slides in.
Yeah. Oh, that's small. Okay.
Yeah. So it's really nice. I like it. Anytime I need to toast something, I like it. Also with the Brussels sprouts, sometimes like after roasting them, I'll throw them into the air fryer for like 2 minutes just to really crisp it up.
Right.
And then it's nice for reheating too.
Yeah.
I have leftover.
Yeah, I've been contemplating, because apparently you can get a toaster oven, like an air fryer combo. So that's because this one is on its last leg. I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll do that,
Yeah.
So I've yet to determine if I will. I haven't made that choice yet. Yeah, so. Any more questions, guys?
Are we eating?
Well, I'm waiting for Susie. How's it going, Susie?
good, 3 minutes. It smells really good.
Yeah, it does smell really good.
We don't have another question in the chat, but we do have some nice feedback. Really fun cooking class. I will definitely make this soon. Great job, Susie and Stephanie.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So if I were to put it on broil now, would
Yeah.
that help cheese
Yeah.
melt better?
Yeah, and in the recipe, it says you can finish it on broil, so absolutely. You can put it on.
On high?
Yep.
For how many minutes?
I would say, depends how quickly your broiler comes up, but maybe 3 minutes. My husband loves the eggplant Parmesan because he's gonna be so excited when he sees this.
Well, while we wait for our cheesy dishes to come out of the oven, we are going to have a photo op. I'm at it again with my cheese puns.
Do you want us to hold up our dishes if we have them?
Yeah, you can.
I was muted. I don't know if you heard. Please hold up your dish.
So this is it.
That looks awesome, Melissa.
I can't see Melissa.
Oh.
Nice. Awesome.
Ah, slip. Hold on.
So this is what it looks like if you're gonna put it on top of pasta. And so I'm gonna taste it. Where's my cooking partner? I can't see her. Oh, there she is. There you are, Susie. How's it looking in the broiler? I'm pre-cutting everything because I'm a bit of a messy eater. It's hot, hot. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me.
That's really good.
Funky color. Oh, that looks gorgeous, Susie.
Definitely good.
Wow. Susie, you see how the broiling does like a nice and adds a nice touch.
Right.
That looks amazing. So Stephanie, this is your first time making this?
It's my first time translating it onto
Translating it.
and
I would have to, it looks like a success from my end.
yeah, it definitely is a success. I have to say, it came out exactly how I envisioned it. So, you know, I hope it did for you, Susie.
Yeah, it looks good. It's just really hot to fry.
It's really hot. It is hot. But it's really good. Oh, what I was telling you, this was the one thing I was telling you, Susie, about, and to everybody, why cutting eggplant evenly when you're doing this dish is so important, is because the thicker pieces take longer to cook.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Well, your dishes look amazing.
Yeah.
I literally want to go cook this now, but it's too late. But I will be making this. But Susie and Stephanie, I want to thank you both for everything. Your dishes look amazing. And I want to thank everyone for logging on and joining us this evening. Feel free to reach out to me. I put my email in the chat a little bit earlier, but feel free to reach out to me at jransom@oif.org or at bonelink@oif.org. If you have any further questions for Stephanie, if you would like information about the classes that she discussed earlier, feel free to reach out. Or if you have any questions, I know the nutrition call Q&A was last week, but the conversation still continues. So please feel free to send them to myself and I'll be sure to get them over to Stephanie. But I want to thank you, you all for logging on. And again, thank you both to Stephanie and Susie. Do you guys have any words for your lovely?
Well, she does.
So thank you guys, and I want to thank Sue and Luca for helping me with filming tonight.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you all. And Susie, thank you for your input so we could shape this to meet the needs of the OI community. So I'm so grateful.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much for logging on. We are signing off, and you guys, I'm going to go make some dinner. Thank you so much.
Have a great night. Bye.